What you think about the Lord is the most important thing in the world, I believe. When I was at school, I was voted the person most likely to spend the rest of their life in prison. Because, coming from a crime family, my family was really strange. I mean, they're all into crime still, so I'm the first white sheep in our whole history. So my family is like really weird, because there's nobody in my family, apart from me and my two sons, no other male member of my family has ever had a regular job. I was brought up in a place of really unremitting violence, where there were several crime families. I never went anywhere on my own. Not ever. I've been stabbed. I've been hammered over the head with a hammer. I've been attacked with an axe. I've had a chisel banged into my knee. So by the time, I was just brought up in the life, and to be honest, I hated it. I hated the violence. I hated the fact that there was always going to be someone after us. We could never go anywhere in less than half a dozen men. The number of times I've been in fights just because I'm a cook, And normally when any one of us goes to prison, there's always like 20 or 30 family members in there, so it's like a bit of a reunion, And so you just hang out with family and do your time, and it's a completely different way of life, But for the first time in living memory, a member of the Cooke family was in prison on their own, and that was me. And because there were other crime families represented in the prison, they put me on what we call Rule 43, which is solitary confinement for reason of safety. So I was banged up for 23 hours a day with no one to talk to. And then one day, a little metal window opened and the guard said, "Do you want to have a visitor?" Now my family don't visit if you're in prison, because they just bug the rooms and it's just too much hassle, So I was just thinking, I'll talk to anybody right now. And so my prison visitor was a Spirit-filled Christian who started talking to me about Jesus. And I'm like listening to him and I'm saying, what planet are you living on? I'd never heard of this person, But anyway, he was the only guy I had to talk to for like 13 months. So it was astonishing. He would just talk to me and he would just say, you just need to talk to him. But, I couldn't bring myself to have a conversation with God. Because why would you want to talk to me? I mean, I know all the stuff I've done. Why on earth would you want to talk to me? But God, He's so persistent, eh? So, anyway, I didn't make a commitment in prison because I couldn't get past the fact that why on earth would you want to be bothered with someone like me? But I came out of prison and I know the routine, big party, bank book, do your first job. So I came out of prison on a Monday. My job was scheduled for Thursday. And I'm suddenly realizing, I can't do this. I don't want this life. I don't want the violence, I don't want to have to carry weapons. I don't want to keep looking over my shoulder. I don't want to travel. I want to go somewhere on my own one day, And so they watch you like a hawk, the family, especially if it's your first time in prison. They watch you like crazy, So there's always somebody, even somebody like sleeps in the same room. So Wednesday morning, I get up, I have my breakfast. I say to the guys, I'm just going to go down the road to, the store and get a newspaper. So, okay, that's fine. So I walked out of the house, with no jacket on, just a few pounds in my pocket. The prison visitor that I used to talk to had moved to the south coast of England. I was born in the north of England, big industrial city called Manchester. Birds wake up in the morning and cough. That kind of a place. And so I walked down the street, and there was a bus coming, and I got on the bus and held out every penny I had and said, how far will that take me? And he told me, and I said, okay, that's where I'm going then. And I got off the bus, and I started walking. And to be honest, I didn't care at that moment whether I lived or died. I just knew I wasn't going back. Now, so I'm going from the north of England, and it's 270 miles to the place where this guy has moved to. I don't know where it is on the south coast. My big plan is to walk south until I hit the beach. Then I'm going to turn left or right. That was my plan. Walk south, hit sand, turn left or right. That was it. So I had like 240 miles to walk. No jacket, no money, nothing. But I'm not going back. And so I walked for a couple of days, 2 to 3 days, and couldn't get a lift. It stuck my thumb out. This is a totally useless thumb for picking up a ride. I want you to know that. If I could cut it off, I would. Totally useless. Never got a ride, nothing. Rained for 3 days. No jacket, I'm soaked. I haven't had anything to eat. I'm starving. I'd walked about 100 miles probably. And just one night, I'm just thinking, I need to go and find some shelter. So I'm walking across this field looking for a farm, looking for a barn. Still, it rained it just always rains in England. We all have webbed feet. It's a condition, we all need to get healed. If you want a healing ministry in England, just pray for webbed feet. You'll make loads of money. So I'm walking across this field. It's pitch black. You can't see a thing, And it seems really strange to say it now, but I saw this figure. It's black, and I saw a shadow. How stupid is that? But I did. I saw, and I'm convinced, policemen's uniforms in England, they're like dark navy. Yeah? So I'm convinced this is a policeman. Now, I've already broken my parole. Yeah? Because I should have reported Wednesday afternoon. I've broken my parole. I'm thinking, God, these guys are good. How did they find me in the pitch black, so in the middle of a field somewhere in Leicestershire, which is 100 miles from where I live, And so, anyway, I gritted my teeth, I clenched my fist. I'm thinking, I'm going to punch your lights out because I'm not going back to prison. And this person moved towards me, and I moved back. And then I couldn't keep my teeth clenched. And for some reason, I just kept smiling. And I'm thinking, this is dumb. This is totally dumb. And I couldn't keep my fist clenched. And eventually, I couldn't move my legs either. So I'm standing there, trying hard to curl my hand into a fist and to put a snarl on my face, because that's my game face when I'm going for a fight, And eventually I can't do any of that, and this person comes up to me, and this arm comes around my shoulder, and I feel this breath on my ear, and a voice just says, "Tell me everything." And so I did. I walked up and down that field all flipping night, and I told him everything I'd ever done. And the next thing that happened was I woke up under a hedge. And it had rained all through the night. All around me the ground was wet, except the ground I was lying on was completely dry. The hedge over me was totally dry. The hedge to the left and right was dripping with water. I stood up. It was warm. It was sunny. And I felt like I'd eaten a 3-course meal. I stepped onto the wet ground. It was cold. It was windy. It was raining. And I was starving. So I stepped back onto the dry ground. It's warm. It's sunny. I feel like I've eaten, a 6-course meal. I'm full. I feel like I want to sleep again, Stepped onto a wet ground. It's cold, it's windy, it's raining. I'm so hungry. I spent 45 minutes hopping from dry ground to wet ground thinking, this is it. I finally flipped. This is the thing psychiatrists warn you about. I've totally flipped. So I don't know what to make of it. I have no grid for processing any of this stuff. I'm a criminal, for God's sake. We don't do this kind of stuff. So I found my way back to the highway, stuck this thumb out. A car stopped inside like 30 seconds. He's not only going all the way south, he's actually going to the very town I'm going to. He's not only going to the very town, he's actually going to be driving past the very road I'm trying to get to. And he bought me a meal. So anyway, I get south, I find this house, I ring the doorbell, door opens, there's my ex-prison visitor. He looks at me and he says, "What are you doing here, and what on earth has happened to you?" And I said, "John, I think I'm going mad. I think I need psychiatric help." And he said, "Why?" So we're in his kitchen, he made me a cup of tea. And I told him the story. Field, person, breath, sharing everything, hedge, full, cold, the whole 9 yards, And I said, "I think I'm going mad." He said, "Graham, you just met Jesus." And he said his name, and I burst into tears. I haven't cried since I was 3. Because in my family, you get beaten if you cry. So my earliest memory is standing in a corner of our living room with my trousers around my ankles and my dad hitting me because I was crying. Men don't cry in this family. So that was the first time I'd cried since I was like 3 years old, And then I go on this journey then with the Lord. And, well, you can't go through all that stuff and not have stuff to work through. Anger, violence, I was a great thief, by the way. I was such a good thief. I could be in your house. I could steal your DVD while you were watching a film. Telling you. I could be in your house and you would never know it. I could take all your bedroom furniture out while you're watching the news or something, I was a really great thief, And a very good car thief. I was stealing cars to order when I was 12 and driving them like 200 miles to a city with blocks under my feet so I could reach the pedals. My family, And yet here I am, saying to you that God is the kindest person I've ever met in my entire life. I don't know anybody kinder than God.